on? It's Katie and Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
So, what movie did we go to see today, Mike?
Magic something? Magic Jake? Jake? Is it Jake?
I don't think it's Jake. Mike, are you sure you don't remember, Mike, what the name of the movie is, Mike?
Oh, it's alliteration. It's Magic Matt.
Oh, right, Magic Matt. So we went to see Magic Mike XXL, which is obviously a movie that Mike was really, really gung-ho to see. No, but you were cool with it, right?
Yeah, it's a fine movie.
Yeah. Because Mike is an enlightened man of the 21st century, damn it. But no, actually, here's the thing. I am not particularly fond of, like, male strippers. There's nothing wrong with it. Just personally, if someone said, like, hey, let's go party, and I'd be like, yeah, let's go, I guess, have some drinks and stuff, and someone said, hey, you want to go to a male strip club? I've been like, I'm really okay. I don't really need, like, groins in the face. So, like, realize that I am also not necessarily the prime. Damn it, I just dropped your phone. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I'm not necessarily the absolute prime demographic, but I also appreciate sexualization of the male form instead of the female, because I like I can appreciate that.
I will say, I've never been in a strip club, but no movie has made me wonder.
I thought you were before.
No.
You haven't?
No. But no movie has ever made me wonder the logistics of one before.
All right, I don't know how. Here's the thing.
They just throw the money on the floor. Does the stripper pick it up afterwards?
I think there's a janitor that kind of pushes it.
Is there a guy with a broom that comes by and he just sweeps it into one of those little dustbins?
All right. So what I think it is.
Do they have maybe a giant Roomba that comes around and picks it up on?
That would actually be amazing. And it had
I would love a giant Roomba.
And it has a little tassel. That would be amazing. All right. So what I know about it is, because I have also not actually been to one of these clubs myself, but I believe that the idea is that, yeah, you tend to throw the money around, but you try to get it in the actual clothing or the. Oh my God!
I'm using my phone.
It's not my
fault. Put it between your legs, and I'll call it so it vibrates.
You hold the damn camera for a second.
Oh my God! I'm holding the camera. Hi,
yeah,
everybody.
this is like the second time. Keep driving.
Pointing at Kate, I hope.
All right. Yeah, it's good now. It just, this is how thin his phone is. It's not my fault. And I'm trying to, all right, we're back. We're back to where, so anyway, again, also, I'm so mad at you for making that vibrating joke. Be quiet. So, okay, so this movie is about male strippers. That's what this movie is about. We did not see the first movie, but I happen to know that it actually was a lot darker than people thought it was going to be. Like, there was like a plot line with, I think, drugs and maybe the mob. Like, stuff actually happened in that movie. In this one, not as much stuff happens.
Yeah,
it's fairly fluffy. It steals a lot of tropes from, like, 80s movies. It is essentially a road trip. Their club has gone and disbanded, and Matthew McConaughey did not come back for this one, so his character ran off. And so they the rest of them decided, we're going to do a road trip and do one last stripping tour on the strip con. I don't know what it was called, but they had one in not Fort Lauderdale. What was the Myrtle Beach? It was in Myrtle Beach. So
this whole movie takes place in Florida,
except for Georgia. They go down into Georgia for a little bit.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was the whole thing with the Southern ladies. But so
how did they get there?
I don't know. They kind of did they do a little tour? I mean,
are they in, like, northern Florida? I thought they were in, like, Orlando and Miami.
I think they were in Miami, so they went up.
Well, that's still like a drive and a half.
I don't know. I don't think. Look, the logistics
I've driven from Chicago to freaking Orlando before, and Florida's a big state.
Well, wait, Myrtle Beach is, like, on that side, though, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach is. I think Myrtle Beach is on the Gulf.
Okay.
So that would be closer to Georgia.
Maybe.
I don't know. Someone can draw me a map. I don't know why we're discussing this part of the movie. So okay, so they tell Channing Tatum, who in the last movie had a girlfriend, and they were starting a furniture, I think it was like a furniture making business. So
and moving business.
I think it was well, I think the moving furniture was that he was making it and then bringing it in. It was like an interior decorating sort of thing. And I know this because I write websites for people who do this kind of stuff. So I think it's that they make their own furniture, handcrafted, and then they move it in for you, obviously.
But he was also moving out furniture. So he's obviously moving furniture out, too.
Maybe. All right. We were discussing these minute details that really have nothing to do with the stripping, which is such a key part of this movie. So the friends say, first they say that Matthew McConaughey's character died. So he goes in to this hotel thinking that there's a wake. And no, they're partying. Because, he just left. And we didn't know how to get you to come, so we told you he died. And then they throw him into the pool with his suit on. But they tell him we're gonna do this grand tour and go down to this convention, and we're gonna strip there, and it's gonna be one last ride before we close up shop. And he's like, well, man, I don't know what to do.
Crap! Traffic, bear.
Oh yeah, because it's Friday at 4:00 on a holiday weekend. Just drive careful, okay, hon? Okay. So he's like, I don't know. And then when he dances out his feelings at his workshop later that night, which is
never driven this way.
Can we keep talking
Yes.
about the men stripping?
Keep going.
So I'll say this much about this movie, because this has gone crazy. Our review has kind of gone off the rails. So I will say this right now. Channing Tatum really should be dancing more in his movies, and I'm not talking about just the stripping. I mean, there's a whole part where he does this breakdance thing, and I'm like, why don't you do this in more films? I thought
that's him dancing throughout the entire movie. He's an excellent dancer.
Mike, he used to be a stripper. He made the first movie because he used to be a male stripper.
Well, I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, this is him dancing. I'm pretty sure, unless someone can tell me wrong, I'm pretty sure all the people in this movie that are dancing are the people dancing.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they are. I could be wrong. But I'm telling you that I'm pretty sure that Channing Tatum actually can do that in real life. If I'm completely wrong about this, someone will yell at me and be like, no, he totally didn't do that, but I'm pretty sure he does. I'm
95% sure he did it all. It's just that there's that 5% of doubt,
CGI has come a long way.
Well, I mean, body double.
I'm pretty sure it was him. I'm
95% sure it's probably him.
Sorry, we've gone off the rails again. But I'm just saying, he's a really good dancer. And why aren't you doing this more? You could be what's his face from, oh, crap. What is his name? He was in, No. I'm not talking about Fred Astaire. The guy, he was in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and he was in Charlie's Angels. And his whole thing is that he always dances in one of his movies. My point is that Channing Tatum...
Martin...
No, not Martin Freeman. I'm not looking it up.
Does he dance in The Hobbit?
No, I don't think he does. Why... This thing is off the rails already. Okay, so he ends up going, okay, I will go on this tour with you. And
because apparently he broke up with the girl from the end of the last
you know what was a really big sign when she wasn't in the movie?
Yeah.
I was like, so are you guys gonna pretend like she just exists, but that she's not gonna be in the movie? And then later on, it's revealed. Spoiler alert! It's revealed that he actually proposed to her, and she just kind of said no. And at his life, I mean, his business is doing okay. He's got a lot of orders and stuff, but it's still just two people, and it's being rough. So it's they're thinking that he has his shit together, and he doesn't. And there's this whole thing where it's come on, guys, we're all in the same boat, and we got to just do this. So besides that, so we got Kevin Nash, who sounds so familiar, but he was the guy who was kind of the hulking, long-haired, wrestling-looking guy.
They called him Tarzan.
Yeah. Gosh darn it. IMDb.
I'm not the one who drops my phone.
It's fine. I'm looking, and then Joe Manganiello was the leader guy. You want to know who he is, Mike?
Who is he?
He played Flash in the first Spider-Man movie.
Oh, Flash Thompson.
Yeah, you know what else is hilarious? So there's this part towards the end. Sorry, we're going to be jumping around. There's a part towards the end, which was hilarious, by the way, where they're showing all these theme strips for this convention, and one of them is a Twilight one, and he's like really gross out. He's like fucking vampires and werewolves and stripping. You want to know what's hilarious about that?
What?
He was in True Blood.
Oh yeah, he was.
He was one of the werewolves on True Blood. And so, like, and I didn't realize this until after, like, they're totally making a joke about him being on True Blood because he's like vampire stripping. He's so angry about that stupid strippers who are vampires. You know, it was really gross because one of the strippers was clearly Mustache Dad. And I'm like, why is he stripping for his daughter? No, go away. That's gross. Gabriel Iglesias is in this as not a stripper, but just like who's supposed to be their MC, and then he gets taken out in the middle.
MCs are the people who announce and introduce people.
Yes, Mike, good job.
I caught on to that.
Yeah.
I thought they were the people playing the music.
I think it's kind of both. It's like a DJ/MC. If we had seen the first movie, we would clearly have known that Matthew McConaughey's character.
Although I'm guessing MC stands for Master of Ceremonies, so I'm guessing, you know, that's why it makes sense.
Okay. And then Matthew Bomer, who I would like to point out is like everybody's fan cast for older Dick Grayson. This is important, Mike, because one of the things that I noticed with when Magic Mike first came out was that the ladies of the DC fandom, especially on Tumblr, made sure to make GIFs of his stripping moments from that and incorporate them into GIF sets for Dick Grayson. I'm just saying that was the thing that happened. And so when I was watching his scenes in this, and there aren't that many scenes of him actually stripping, but I was just thinking, like, you guys are gonna enjoy, like, you're gonna be happy this movie exists. Congratulations, you got some more Dick Grayson stripping.
New things to GIF.
New things to GIF. We disagree with the pronunciation of that word.
I switch between both of them pretty regularly.
I just stick with one. I mean, I mostly type it out anyway. Why are we? I swear to God, we keep deviating from the actual movie.
It's actually going out and seeing a matinee today. Notice how there's actually lights out here?
Yeah, it's crazy. You guys aren't used to this. I don't have to turn on the light in the car. By the way, happy 4th of July. And then Adam Rodriguez, I didn't know that was him. I think he was on, I'm looking here. Because there are a bunch of character actors kind of in this movie. Yeah, he was on CSI Miami. I did not realize the Tito, you know?
Yeah.
He was on CSI Miami for like forever. But it was just I did not recognize him. Probably because of the long hair. And then let me think. Who else is in this? Well, alright, let's get to... Amber Heard played the girl that was kind of the, was not really... That was the nice thing, too. So we're going to get into, the things I genuinely really loved about this movie, because there's a lot of it that was... It's not that it was a surprise, because I had heard good things from people who would call out bad, annoying, sexist things in this movie. So I knew the vague good things about this movie, but I didn't know what it was exactly. So let's talk about it. Essentially, Channing Tatum's character has not even a sort of love interest, but kind of a girl that he meets, and she ends up coming back later. And there's this whole bit where she got this, in between their first meeting and their second, she gets discouraged because she wants to be a photographer, and a guy hit on her, like a photographer guy basically tried to get her to sleep with him, and so she got discouraged, and he ends up kind of saying, hey, you should come to this conference, like, get a lap dance, put a smile on your face, like, be able, like... And she says that she doesn't want to get into a guy phase right now. And he goes like, and you know, if you're not into the guys, you're gonna be surrounded by a bunch of women. You gotta be happy about that. And the cool thing is that while he does end up giving her this gigantic striptease, like it is the final striptease of the movie. They don't end up together. I'm sorry, we are just gonna spoil stuff. I feel like we're just gonna spoil things for this. So they don't end up together.
I think that's better for the movie. I mean, it's kind of weird to throw a romance plot into.
Yes, actually, there is one. No, there is a romance plot, but we'll get to that. But the cool thing is that they just went like, no, like you keep it really ambiguous, like. You don't have her, especially because she says that she's not into guys, at least right now, or whatever, or like it's highly implied that she's queer or possibly a lesbian. They never really have her, like, they don't have them get together. It's not like the power of his striptease turned her straight or got her into guys. So when I realized that, I was like, oh God, this could ruin it at the very end. And instead, it was just like they were just having fun. And at the end, like, they were laughing. There's like a little montage of everybody just having a good time. So that's one thing. But let's get into all the things that I really love about this movie. No, there's never a time when the guys are homophobic, when the guys are transphobic, or when the guys are sexist. They like, this movie, the way I put it on Twitter right before we started this review, the guys in this movie are perfect examples of not toxic masculinity. They like women. They are very masculine guys, and yet they're not jerks. They're, you know, that it was so refreshing because, like, one of the first things they do once they get onto the road.
It's a very simple concept, but it's you know what I mean? It's like something that you could see them really easily be written into because of their characters. Yeah,
like there are a lot of tropes that they avoid strictly by having them not be jerks and by having them be like good-natured people. They're very bro-y. That's the thing. I said this to Mike. It's like 100% bro-y, but 0% homophobic or sexist or misogynistic. Like, all that stuff doesn't happen. One of the first things they do, and it was like a good test for me as far as like to be put at ease, is they go to a drag club in the South. Well, they're in the South. They're in the South the whole time. And there's this whole thing where it's like, hey, we have a smooth I think it was like $200 or $400 for anybody who can do their best drag queen. And they didn't get dressed up, but all the guys get on stage and do a little dance, do a little walk off, do a little runway, including Gabriel Iglesias, that's his name, right?
Yes.
Who ends up winning because he puts on a fruit hat. But like, not only does that happen, and they aren't like grossed out, they're like rising to the challenge. No, like I said, no, you know, homophobia, no fear of the drag queens hitting on them or anything. Not only that, they end up hanging out with the drag queen, with the head drag queen afterwards. At the bonfire, and there's some other girls that hang out with them that they meet up with. There's like I said, it's just like where I realized, oh man, they're not gonna have them be like, they're not gonna normalize homophobia in this movie by having the main characters be grossed out by a bunch of guys in drag. That's amazing. Like, and I cannot believe I have to say that that's amazing. But throughout it, oh, sorry.
One of the weird things, though, is that the only drag character in that whole scene...
You see a few in the background. But besides, yeah, there is only one main one.
There is only one. And the background drag characters, you only ever see them from the backside, so you don't know if they're actually trans or drag or anything like that.
Yeah, but it's still
and
like...
It's not like you saw them on the stage either. You just see them at the bonfire afterward and they say that they are or whatever.
It could be that they had scenes cut out.
True.
But also the fact that, again, it's like, what they did was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, so, but the other thing is that the women they strip for are incredibly diverse. There are different sizes. There are different ethnicities. There are, like, they're different ages, and none of them are ever shamed for it. Like, no one's ever grossed out that they have to dance for a particular person.
There was a lot of body shapes being danced for in this movie.
Like, there is a whole scene. I'm jumping ahead slightly, but Jada Pinkett Smith, by the way, is awesome in this movie. She's so great. I just can't say enough about her because she runs essentially a bordello. I think I was trying to come up with the right word for it, but it's essentially a bordello. So it's mostly men dancing for women. However, you do see at least one female contortionist who's kind of doing a thing, but essentially she's running a bordello for women in the area, and there are a huge amount of black women in attendance. There are a huge amount of large black women in attendance, and they're being catered to. And she calls, like, her whole thing is that she calls all of her guests queens. And that's kind of, like, I am so amazed by how much her character brings to this movie, because it's really, really lovely. And she's awesome. And if you liked her, if you liked her campiness in Gotham, she brings it in like a more subdued way in here. I really liked her character though, and I thought she was one of the best parts of this movie. But yeah, so you see so many scenes of larger women being catered to and getting these strip dances, and no one's like, and it's just like, yeah, that's what we do. There's a whole talk that, because Donald Glover's in this, he and Matt Bomer have this talk where you say, like, there are these women and they might not get treated well by other people in their lives, so we give them a little bit of happiness. We let them feel like they're being worshipped. And they were so happy to have that be a part of like what they do. There's a scene later, like right after, where they end up going to Andie MacDowell's house. And in any other movie, she and her like older ladies would be considered a joke. And instead they were basically they are treated like human beings. That's kind of the thing. The women in this movie, even though there are quite a few and some of them get only show up for one scene, but they get treated like human beings even when they're getting danced up upon. And I thought that was great. Should we talk about the convenience store scene?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I have only slightly mixed thoughts about the scene, but it's mostly good. So, again, one of the broiest things about this movie is that there's this whole thing where they've decided to take Molly. They've decided to take ecstasy. For some reason. I'm like, you guys are driving a car. You guys are driving like a frozen yogurt truck down south. Maybe don't take drugs. Yes, this movie is not anti-drug. I will say that much. But they're kind of arguing with each other because Channing Tatum wants them to try new routines, because the routines they have, they're not connected to them. And one of the guys does a fireman routine, but he's afraid of fires. And it's like, why would you want to do a fireman routine if you don't even care about it? You never wanted to be a fireman. You don't want to do that. So he's trying to convince them we should do all new routines. We shouldn't stick, if we're going to go out with a big bang, we shouldn't stick to it. And Joe Manganiello, I never know how to pronounce his name, they basically convince him to do an improv routine for a convenience store clerk, where he just has to go in and he has to try to make her smile. And she's a plus size girl, she is a larger girl, but they don't say oh man, she's ugly. Yeah, you gotta dance for her. They go, she doesn't look like she's smiled in years because she's a convenience store clerk. So the focus was not oh yeah, dance up on this big girl. It's make this girl who looks miserable smile. So he ends up doing, which song was it? Because, and this was another thing, this particular character is very passionate about boy bands.
For some reason.
No, I thought that was I actually thought it reminded me of Tarantino just bringing up random pop culture stuff in the middle of his, of his movies,
Okay.
What? It didn't remind you of that?
No, not at all.
Because, like, they're talking about, like, one of the guys said that, alright, this is slightly earlier, one of the guys said that, that what's-his-face coming back to the group was like when Justin came back to the Backstreet Boys. And Joe Manganiello is like, he wasn't in the Backstreet Boys, okay? I know my shit. Stop, like... And for the record, the Backstreet Boys were the greatest boy band that ever... They were the only ones, guys. They were the only ones.
And I think he made a point of it, them coming out of Florida or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I didn't even know they were from Florida.
So, anyway. So, he walks into the convenience store, and then was it Backstreet Boys? It's gotta be Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, it was
then.
a Backstreet Boys song.
Starts playing, and he's, like, inspired. And he starts doing the dance, and he, like, pops open a bag of Doritos, and they go all over the floor, and she's still not smiling. And he, like, takes open a water bottle, and he does this whole sexy dance thing, and the guys... This is what sold me, because the guys are at the window, like, so excited for him. He's doing the thing. He's coming out of his shell. And they're so, like, everybody in this movie is 100% committed to these ridiculous ideas and and the idea that their characters should be super, super supportive of each other. So when he finally, like, gets to the front of the cash register, and he's like, how much for the water and the Doritos? And she finally smiles. They're like, you see him through the glass, like, cheering for him. Here's the only thing I was thinking of. He better have mopped after that. I realize that he is high on ecstasy in this point in the movie. But, like, that poor woman will have to clean up your chips and water after you've... Now, I'm glad you're paying for it. But you know, as someone who has done service work before, you better have helped her clean up. That was my only thing.
Well, you do see him eating a bag of chips.
Yeah, but
in the next
I'm
scene.
pretty sure he didn't eat that same one, because that bag was, like, torn apart.
He just popped it open and then shot it all over the floor. I mean,
Anyway.
Do you think he bought a new bag of chips, or do you think he just ate the ones that he picked up off the floor?
But what I liked about this movie...
He is high on exit.
Yes. Yes. There are consequences for that later, by the way. They did not just let them be high on ecstasy and not have anything happen. But what I liked about that scene, and really about all the scenes, is that they do a really good job of not shaming the women. They do a lot of good job about not mocking the women who go to it. Because it feels like if you do that, then you're basically, like, sticking a middle finger up at a lot of the people that are going to see your movie. And I think they realized, or, like, they understood that you don't want to do that to your audience. You know what I mean? It's not just about, like, dudes dancing on screen. It's like, you know, it's about not being a jerk to the women who are actually paying money so that you can keep making these movies. So, I'm trying to think. Oh, well, okay, so Andie MacDowell's character, this was the other thing I really liked, actually. Yeah, Mike's turning on the car. It's getting warm because it is hot outside. But she ends up hooking up. Well, there's this whole scene where these kind of older ladies, I don't know, like in their 60s, I think, but where the guys, like, they meet up with them in this, like, old antebellum sort of
Southern plantation house.
Yeah. And they start to, and they get fairly drunk on wine, and they essentially, like I said, they just mostly talk to them and do some dancing. And it ends up, there's this bit towards the beginning where Joe Manganiello, apparently his penis is so big. I think this was probably a plot point in the last movie, that, like, his whole thing is that he has a very large thing.
Package.
Yeah, and so, like, apparently a lot of girls that he's tried to hook up with don't want to actually do stuff with him, just want to, like, do other handsy or mouthy things instead. And he's like, man, I just want to, like, I want to be able to be with a girl. And they're like, oh, don't worry, it'll be like a magic slipper. You'll find a magic slipper. And And again, it's not gross because they're like, you know, where he's like, I just want to find a nice girl who I can do stuff with. And then it turns out Andy McDowell and him hook up, and they're like, wait, did you go with her? And they go, yeah. And they're like, oh, you, like, is she your magic slipper? Oh man, I'm so excited for, and it's not like, and when they're celebrating with him, it isn't like, oh man, you banged this chick. It's, oh man, you got, like, I'm so happy for you. You guys seem to have a connection. So, again, I know this seems really dumb that I'm so happy about this movie, but there are so many ways or little things that they chose in the dialogue, where it wasn't like insulting to women, it wasn't degrading women, it wasn't objectifying women. It's not that hard to do in these movies, and they were able to do it.
Yes.
Yay!
I don't know what to say. I mean, like, dialogue choices are important, and they did a good job choosing what they wanted to say. I will say, to me, there were a lot of sort of like really sort of boring scenes, or maybe scenes that go on too long, or maybe it's like there are some scenes where there's just
are you thinking mostly
where I don't know if they really just belong in the movie, because it's like I don't know why this scene is here.
Really? See, I didn't mind.
There's scenes like early when they're on the road where they're just talking about random stuff that doesn't really affect anything, and then there's scenes where they're in the hotel room where they're like, yo, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so beat, and that was like the scene. And it was like a minute long, and I don't know why that scene's in the movie. I don't know. Like, there are times where I don't know why they chose to use some scenes, but I mean, there's plenty of things that are good about this movie. I didn't
mind that as much, because honestly, there were parts. Again, I'm not really a person who likes personally to have male strippers all on my person.
To be fair, the first, let's say, third to 2/3 of this movie, there isn't a whole lot of stripping in it.
Yeah, it's only until you get to, like, once you get to the bordello.
Right when you get to the bordello, and then towards the end, it's like strip fiesta.
Yeah. But, like, some of the stripping, I was just like, okay, I understand what's happening. Maybe we can move on to the next thing. Just a few moments. I didn't mind the talking as much because the characters are actually pretty entertaining. If they hadn't done as much with the characters, I wouldn't be as, like, cool with some of the stuff that went on too long.
And to be fair, I don't know why they got rid of Donald Glover. Like, he's in there for 5 minutes and then he comes back at the end.
I'm glad that he came back. I was worried. I was like,
yeah,
really?
I was worried they were only going to give him 5 minutes and then he was gone, because I thought Donald Glover was in this movie, and he's like
he's only kind of partially in.
He's 5 minutes, and then he shows up at the house and he's like, I gotta go, guys, bye, and he drives off.
And I was like, no!
He's not back till the end of the movie, and it's like, why?
I will say, as a Community fan, I'm really mad that he did not bring up a sexy Dracula.
I don't know.
Do you not remember this?
Yes,
right.
I do remember this.
Every time I saw that, because, like, you have the poster of him with his, like, with just the jacket on and no, you know?
Yeah.
And no shirt. And all I could think of, though, was him with, like, the toilet bib that said Dracula on it. And I really, I know that was never going to happen, but I kept laughing the last, like, couple months about the idea of him going, like, I'm a sexy Dracula. That's my thing now.
But yeah, he's totally underutilized, because he sings his one song. I guess that was probably improv, and then he comes back at the end and sings a song, and that one wasn't even nearly as impressive as the first one.
Yeah.
And you barely know it's him singing, because he's not the focus or the showcase of that song.
Yeah.
It's the other people that are stripping, and you just see him for a moment. He's singing, so it's like, why even use him?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that that we have to say. It was fun. I would definitely go to see with some of the ladies. I think Mike.
Also, the dances at the end of the movie, those were really excellent. Like, I am serious. I don't know how. Like, they are very good dancers. The mirror dance at the end was really
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
That's why I'm saying that I don't think it could have been anybody but Channing Tatum, because to do a body double with that while mirroring the other guy.
Well, I'm sure they had a routine that they planned for weeks or something.
Oh, I know, but you know what I mean. Like, but being able to do that, I don't know if you could have. We cannot not talk about this. So, there is a part.
Oh, also,
you go first.
All the dances at the end, another part of this. At the end, they just introduce characters that start dancing during their routine thing. There was, I guess they were part of Jada Pinkett Smith's group, but there's just characters that just show up to do a dance scene at the end.
That was one guy.
Well, there's one guy. That's one guy. That's he had 10 minutes of dance. Well, not really 10, 5 minutes of dance, and it's who is this person? He just shows up at the climax to just whatever.
So can I say something now?
Yes, you can.
Elizabeth Banks shows up at the end to basically be the coordinator for this particular stripping con. And she's like, guys, I can't put you in. Why didn't you didn't sign up? I can't, you're not special, so I gotta. And then they're like, and you don't have an MC. And then suddenly Jada Pinkett Smith comes up. Now, and they've already said that Jada Pinkett Smith and Channing Tatum had a thing. That's how he knows her. He had worked for her, and they also had a little flingy thing. And then suddenly, you see Elizabeth Banks and Jada Pinkett Smith embracing in this very intense head-forehead thing. And I'm just oh crap. I did not expect to come in here and be and then suddenly shipping those two. And then they're yeah, she taught me everything she knows. And Channing Tatum's face, here's the thing.
Can I say that scene where it's obviously their head embrace is the focus?
Yeah.
Or at least it's the focus of that scene. They cut away from them and then focus on Channing Tatum's reaction to it.
Yeah, but this is my thing. They could have that could have been way more salacious and way more over the top gazy annoyingness, and instead it was just it just made me very happy. And the fact that those two got to have this small moment together made me really happy. And Jada Pinkett Smith is the best thing in this movie. I was so excited when she came back at the end to do the whole narration thing. I was just you need to be in more things, because you're really, really great in this. And they did not I don't think I knew that she was in this until somebody tweeted about it maybe a few days ago. So, alright, so again, I thought that this was actually a really enjoyable movie. I don't know if I'd ever watch it again, because it's a lot of stuff. But I thought that there were a lot of parts that were genuinely funny. It didn't make me feel uneasy. I didn't feel like I was bracing for a really gross joke. And for the most part, it was just really enjoyable. And if you want to bring a bunch of girls with you to see this movie, I think that you'll probably have a good time.
I can agree with that.
Do you have any other criticism of this movie, Mike?
Not really. It's a fine movie.
It's fun. It is very fluffy.
It's fluffy. I wouldn't say it's. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that will rewatch it over and over again. But I mean, whatever.
I think this is at least a watch once movie.
Yeah.
And there's also fun stuff there's the road trip stuff. There is the shenanigans. There is a lot of I actually enjoyed their little random talks and stuff, because these characters are fairly silly, and it was kind of fun to see them get really they were really intensely passionate about very specific things. But the other thing I really liked was that there was an 80s style montage of them preparing their routine, where they were building sets and figuring out costumes, and it was really it was just really fun to watch this wordless with a random Get Pumped Up song in the background. That was really fun, and I was laughing the whole time because they got they were very well aware of how silly they were, but they weren't trying to necessarily put down their ridiculous tropes that they were going for. It was fun. I thought it was, and it just happened to be, it's like this with 21 Jump Street. It's a very silly movie, but it's a silly movie that they understood how to do correctly. You know what I mean? Where, like, it was made well, like, they stuck within the genre, and yet they made it really well. That's kind of how I feel.
It's just sort of a movie.
It's just sort of a movie. Yeah, especially at the end when they were, like, looking at the fireworks and were like, yeah, man, we did it.
I was kind of thinking they were gonna, like, pull... that was sort of Ocean's 11-y.
It was! That's the exact same thing I was thinking. And then they just walk away. I was thinking the exact same thing, though. It was very...
The real thing is, though, they don't have that pull-out shot where they show the fireworks, so it's like...
They were just looking at random things.
I know.
So, yeah, go see it. Happy 4th of July, happy post-Canada Day, and happy Friday / the weekend for everybody else. Katie and Mike, check us out at justplayinsomething.com, and we'll see you later.